Okay, hello, I'm Dennis, and in this video we're going to install GhostBSD. GhostBSD comes in two versions. It comes in the Mate version, and it does have an XFCE build that is supported by the community. And so if you want the Mate version, click on that download, bring you here, and you'll download it here through either a direct download or a torrent. Same way with the latest builds here, only that's a direct download, and we can get the XFCE desktop through a torrent or a direct download. All right, I've got it set up in my virtual box. I'll give it 8 gigabytes of RAM, 2 cores of my processor, video memory, I turned it all the way up, and the graphics controller, I'm going to use the SVGA. So let's get started. Oh, by the way, I'm in legacy BIOS mode. For some reason, I could not get GhostBSD to install even on real hardware in UEFI mode. Alright, so while that's loading up, that'll take just a few minutes. Not a few minutes, seemingly a while. So GhostBSD is from Canada and developed in Canada, Italy, Germany, and the US. So quite a conglomeration of people have worked on this. In general, now this is right off their website. In general, BSD is also considered beyond the average computer's user's knowledge. We try to simplify BSD to lower the entry level of using BSD on a desktop or laptop. We provide all the benefits of the FreeBSD operating system benefits combined with OpenRC init system. It's based on the ISO I have now is based on FreeBSD 13. Let's see where we're at here. Still loading up. Let's see, based on FreeBSD 13 stable, uses the OpenRC for its init system. GhostBSD is a Unix-like operating system based on FreeBSD with Mate as its default desktop environment and an XFCE desktop community-based edition. It aims to be easy to install, ready, and easy to use. That's from the Wikipedia. If you want to look at their history, let's see where we're at here. We'll come back. Okay. Let me minimize that. Come here. And let's see if we can do something about that's going to be in preferences, hardware, displays. Let's see if we can go 1920 by 1080. Apply. Keep it. Close. Go F to get me in full screen mode there. And there we go. That's the desktop that you will see. And the installer is on the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this started, and then we'll come back to their website, what have you. First question on the installer is picking your language. English is selected by default. I'm good. I'm going to say next. Here is your keyboard. If you're unsure, type a test. And you're always better off to type in a few symbols just to make sure all that works, and that is good. All right. Now here we're going to select the time zone. So it correctly selected America, and I'll need to select Chicago, which is in the central time zone. I'm going to say next. Full disk configuration or custom advanced partitioning. I'm going to let them do the full disk configuration, even though we'll have some control here. There's our virtual hard drive with the 73 gigs on it. Here is our swap space down in the lower right, and I'm going to change that to 12 gigabytes of swap space. And we're going to leave the partition scheme as GPT. Now I know that we're booting in the legacy BIOS and we should be using the MBR, but I have tried with the MBR, leaving that, or I have tried changing the scheme to MBR and it will not boot. I cannot seem to get it to boot. So I'm going to leave that with GPT. This is real hardware. I would try going to the master boot record. And in fact, when I did install it on real hardware, I did, and it worked just fine. But in a virtual box, for some reason, if I change the partition scheme, it will not reboot. Here, the only option we have is FreeBSD BIOS Loader. All right. password for the root or administrator account. It's going to tell me that it's super weak, but they'll allow it. Say next. My real name. Tab, give it a password. We'll accept the default on the host name, Dennis GhostBSD PC. And for the default shell, you have these options. I'm going to leave it as default. The default setting is fish. I'm going to leave that. And that's it. That's all the questions you'll have to answer to get a BSD system working on your computer. New file system, creating storage point. Oh, wait. Okay, so it's mounted, and now it's downloading some stuff. Let me get out of full screen here. Let's go back to my notes. The first version of free GhostBSD was version 1.0. It was released on March 2010. It was based on FreeBSD 8. And it only had apparently the GNOME desktop. And under the notes, it'll say first general available release. These notes. Here we have all the web links, and I'll make sure I get these in the description or as titles. We have the installation guide, the Wiki main page, forums, desktop environments, specifically the Mate GhostBSD environment and the XFCE. Here we have useful commands, and I'm going to make sure these get in the show notes or as titles. These two right here come in really handy for you. It uses the PKG just like several other BSDs, and it's PKG update, upgrade, search, or clean. And if you use the -F, that forces the update. And like I said, they use the OpenRC, and I'll make sure we get these links in the description. But to start a service, it's RC-service, and then whatever the service is, start, same thing with stop, same thing with restart, or if you just want to check the status of it, like SSHD or something. You show all the scripts that are going to start up, RC update show. I'm not going to go through all of these, but like I said, I'll either include them in the show notes or put them as titles. More than likely, since there's so much, a lot of it will be in the show notes. All right, so we're still installing. Let me go back over to the web. Here's their web link or homepage. Click on the Wiki. Click on the Wiki and hit the installation guide over here. It opens up the installation guide. Take that back to the homepage. Opens up the installation guide. You go to their Wiki. This is concerning packages, how to download and update in the installation, installing packages, removing packages, upgrading, install packages, etc. So this will be an invaluable source as well, and I'll make sure that this link gets in the link or gets in the video somehow. Here I found also useful commands, and this will be another one that's an important resource for you. Found all kind of good stuff in here. Like I said, now it uses the RC. I don't know why I got both two open at the same time. I must have been doing something else. Anyway, I'm going to make sure that this link gets in the description. This is an OpenRC, the systemd cheat sheet. Shows you what the systemd control would normally be. And here it gives you the equivalent in OpenRC. Systemctl start the service would be RC-service, whatever the service is, and then start. And this will be a very useful link for you as well. Let's see. Go back here and see. Yep, we're finished. All right, so I'm going to say continue so that I can just power off rather than restart. This is Mate, so it's under system, shut down. I'll shut down. And it does shut down. I'm going to leave the ISO in place and just move the hard drive up to the #1 position. That is under system, hard disk, up arrow once, say OK, say start. And that would be the equivalent of going back into your BIOS. This is a good sign, BIOS drive C. There's our starting screen. So yeah, this would be the equivalent of leaving your CD-ROM in the computer or the USB in the USB drive and just going into your BIOS and telling it to boot to your hard drive first. And sometimes there is a benefit. All right, there's our login prompt. I'm going to give it a password and hit enter. There we go. VirtualBox kernel service is not running. It's okay. Let's see. System preferences, hardware, displays. 1020 by 1080. Apply. Keep it. And close. I'm going to go right Control F. Should get me in the full screen. And there we go. On the desktop, there's that ISO that I left in place. It's picking it up as a CD. Let's run through their menu real quick. This is the Mate desktop. And under applications, we have character map, or under applications, under accessories, we have character map and Grandpa Archive Manager, Mate calculator, Mate font viewer, Mate search tool, password and keys, Plank, Pluma, file editor, text editor, a root terminal. Nice. Take a screenshot. Under graphics, we got IO Mate, the image viewer. We got Mate color selection and Shotwell for organizing your photos. Under internet, we have the Firefox web browser by default and transmission for your torrent needs. Under Office, we have a document viewer, a Mate dictionary, and evolution, managing emails and such. Under programming, we have Glade. Under sound and video, we have Rhythm Box, sound, and BLC media player. System tools, Kajal file browser, Deconf editor. Fish is our default shell. Log file viewer, Mate disk usage analyzer, Mate system monitor, Mate terminal, and power statistics. All right, so the first thing really you should do, let me go back and find that terminal. And you should always do this. All right, this is fish. So we're going to say sudo because sudo is, we are part of the sudoers group by default. So sudo pkg update. And I'm going to force it, -F, give it my password, say enter. And depending on your internet connection, I'm not going to ignore that mismatch. All right, now I'm going to bring that back and change it to upgrade, the two-step process. And with the -F, it'll force the upgrade. And GhostBSD does come with a package manager, and it's called Software Station. Now, I'm not going to open it right now. Ignore the mismatch. Yes. And this is going to take a while. It's probably a lot of updates. It's going to reinstall a bunch of stuff, upgrade 132 packages, install 6. So let me bring up another terminal here. Since that one's being used, this one out of the way. Here, let's go uname -R. We'll see we're on 13.0 stable, which is FreeBSD. If we go new uname, I just up arrow that back, say -A. Now you can see a lot more information. FreeBSD, Dennis on GhostBSD PC, the host name, 13.0 stable, FreeBSD, generic kernel. CLSBL. Okay, let's see what that'll show us. No, that's right. Fish don't have that. Wonder if it doesn't have the free. Doesn't have that one either. But we can do the same thing by going here. System monitor. That'll tell us we have 12.5 gigabytes of swap available. It's not using any of it. Right now, with the upgrade running and look around I've done already, it's running at 650 megabytes. Not too bad considering we got some activity happening, things running. File systems, it would say root 64 gigs, 54 is free, use 6.6 gigabytes. System, we have Dennis at GhostBSD, that's the host name, FreeBSD, release 13.0 stable, kernel FreeBSD, stuff we just looked at, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Available disk space remaining is 54. Let's see what else we got here we can look at. Where we're at, I just went through the system tools under places. This would be like your home folders, documents, and such as that. You have a search tool even. Under preferences, under system, under preferences, we have hardware, the displays, the keyboard shortcuts, the mouse, which here you can adjust how fast your mouse double click works, position of the pointer when the control key is pressed. Not really a selection of pointers in here. Mouse, power management, sound, time and date manager, internet, we have network proxy, look and feel. Here's where you can really tweak it out under appearance. You can start tweaking it out. Let me just change that to dark and see what happens there. Background. Let's change it to that. That's pretty nice. Font. Those are all set by default to bold. Wonderful. All right, let's close that out. Let's go back to system. That was under look and feel. Main window. See what that does. Main window. Some more tweaking that you can do. This is your start menu, it looks like. All right, then control center. What was it? What else under administrator? Nothing. Print settings, software station, and update station, which they recommend you use the update station versus the command line. And I probably should have done it that way. If there's any errors that happen, it's probably me for not doing that. Okay, so under the control center, we have print settings, software station, update station. Looks like deja vu. Under hardware, display, keyboard. This is all the stuff we just looked at. Main menu, appearance, screensaver. We didn't change that. Station tweak. Startup applications, about me. Oh, that's about me, not GhostBSD. So there you can change a lot of stuff. About Mate. Let's see what this says. It's Mate 1.24.1. And it does not say for GhostBSD. That's kind of different. All right. Let's see, what else can we look at? Print settings, software station. I can't really open those up. Let's see, under computer. See what kind of options we have here. Behavior. Probably single click, double click by default, double click for the win. Display, captions. But Mate has a fair amount of, I wouldn't say they have as much as KDE of options, customizations, and edits you can make on the system and the desktop in particular, but it does have its fair share. There's our home folders, documents, downloads, music, pictures. All right, we'll get out of control, get out of full screen, get my notes back up here. Talked about all that, and these are all the links that I've discovered and the stuff that'll help you. For sure, it helps me. And you'll want to mark all those in your favorites, I'm sure, unless you just know all this stuff already. And if you do, probably not watching this video. So you seen we just did this, the update and then the upgrade with the -F to force those. The mirror in the US mirror was apparently down for a while, and the article now says it is back up. It was back up on May the 1st. So that's that's okay, good for me. I'm in the US. Instead of running an update and upgrade, you can also run these bootstrap, which is the equivalent of upgrade. We may get an error in here that says that it can't. Let's see, what is it? There's a conflict. And if we get that, then according to the wiki there, we'll need to run this command right here. Ignore OS version equals yes, and then choose number 12 from the menu. I'm not sure. Hadn't had to do that, so I don't know. And like I said, this is the RC. It's running for an init system. It's using RC. I'll make sure all that gets on this video in some form. OpenRC, there was I believe it was Ardix. I installed Ardix one time using the OpenRC, and it was actually pretty pleasant. And it's not really difficult, but it is different. So if you're used to using systemd and those commands, you'll have to relearn these because these are definitely different. Go back over to their web page here. Go down here for the latest news. Click on that, and it shows you some of the fixes or bugs that were fixed as of May 13th. Wired DHCP not gaining an access for the network manager. Open as administrator not working for the GUI. In other words, you couldn't open it with super user rights. Wine tricks, what should be, not sure what, something with the daemon it looks like. Software station would crash, and we're yet to open that up, so I don't know if that's worked out or not. Software station sometimes becomes non-responsive after typing, for example, 2 letters. So we got software station crashes after, also freezes, sometimes becomes non-responsive after you just type in 2 letters and then just freezes. Upgrade to 2105 if you already installed this and you're using it. Instructions on how to update. It also, for some reason, gives you instructions on how to write ISO to a USB stick in a command line if you're on BSD or on Linux or on a Mac. Not sure, but I'm not sure if unless that was a bug in the ISO. Hotfix GhostBSD submitted. It was reported that when using a partition editor, install GhostBSD, resulting in the 2 errors below. We did not see that, so they must have fixed that. Grub issue fixed. Again, how to create an ISO with the command line. That's pretty important for them. Look at that. As you can see, though, look how many pages of news. And they've been around since 2010, apparently. I mean, that's 11-year running record, and they are, let's see, I go to Distro Watch, if it'll open. It will, sooner or later, didn't it? Didn't I click on it? Guess I must not have. There we go. Go here, just find GhostBSD, click on that. See here that it's active and it's 44, ranked 44. And what I find interesting is, let's see, there's GhostBSD at 44, and FreeBSD is way up at 20. And 20 does not have a graphical installer or a graphical desktop to even boot into. So to me, the logic there kind of goes against what I know or what I've learned. Go back to that. I just hit the back button. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. See, origin is in Canada. OpenBSD is a user-friendly desktop operating system based on FreeBSD. We already know that. It does have a community-supported XFCE desktop. We already know that. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. This is ranked lower than FreeBSD, and FreeBSD is a manual installer, I'll call it. Whereas this, as you saw, we're probably getting close to through. We're still fetching 238 out of 557. Still got a little ways to go. I'm probably just going to pause the video and come back when this gets finished and we'll wrap it up with GhostBSD. Actually, it's not finished, but well, I'm going to demonstrate some stuff. So I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so I'm going to come back. It's prompting me now. It says proceed with this action. It defaults to no, but I'm going to say yes. So it's through downloading. Now it's going to install, basically reinstall the system, it looks like. I noticed a lot of the Kmod stuff came in for graphics or GPUs. It's going by too fast now to even read. Creating groups. If it's creating groups, absolutely. And I hear a lawnmower in the background, so I'm hoping it's not too loud. Maybe I can filter that out. All right, so this is going to take another minute. I'll pause the video again. I keep seeing this warning that I'm stopping a boot service. So before I reboot, I will run system update, system upgrade again. That's a boot manager. Went by way too fast to see something about a boot service right there. But maybe it's having to stop one service in order to start another. We'll find out in a minute. 450 out of 550 to go. A warning, you're stopping a boot service, reinstalling multimedia. Stopping the boot service is concerning. Yes, it's basically reinstalled the whole system, including the VirtualBox stuff. Right here, warning, you're stopping a boot service. Again, I've seen that at least 5 times. And again, with the stopping the did not have a maintainer. We got a lot of notices, but nothing saying something bad here. Let me Control L, clear that screen. Sudo EKG update. Let's see if it just does it without the F. All repositories are up to date. Change that to grade. All repositories are up to date. So go to the system, shut down. Let's restart. And hopefully system is still up and running. So far so good. Even better. Means we got it grub. FreeBSD 13.0 stable. Starting DHCP service. And since it was like a brand new installation, apparently it lost my monitor setting, resolution. 20 by 1080. Keep it low. Right Control F. It'll get me in the full screen. So up here we got the time, the date. We have an internet connection. We have a volume icon. And that I believe is just a separator. Applications, places in system. Under system, let's go find software or update station. No updates are available. Nice to know. Let's also go back to software station. Give it my password. Syncing with the repositories, which is why I wouldn't open it up while the terminal was running. Nice. This is a category of all software. Here's the category for installed software. And apparently it's not including the, well, I guess it is. Archivers, yeah, installed archivers. Let's go see, let's install a game, KPAT. Let's search for a game called KPAT. There it is. All right. Now, well, let's just apply it. That's how you install it. Here is the dependencies it's going to bring in. Then it needs to run KPAT. We're downloading it. And let's see, we got the desktop. We've covered the menu, but the software station is really the only thing I needed to demonstrate. One thing I find peculiar, and there's no settings or about, or there's not really any kind of adjustments in here for a user that I'm aware of that I can see. Let's see, what does that do? Same thing as the right click does here. So, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. To me, that would be very important in a software or graphical package manager. I guess I'm used to PalMac. Although I don't really use PalMac anymore now that I know the name of the software that I use. I do search it sometimes through the AUR and as well as PalMac, but mostly just through the AUR. But you can see, it won't let me change. You can see a ton of categories here. All kind of X11 stuff, shells, different languages, sysutil, security, science, Russian, print, Portuguese, all kind of different languages, net management, net, multimedia. I did a little searches in the terminal for finding some software that I would normally use, such as Kdenlive or OBS Studio or Simple Screen Recorder, Audacity, and all those are available. We should be good to go. See that games category. Still fetching according to this. 71 of 116. I also wish there was a way you could see what was actually happening, seeing the installation process. I always like to watch that. To me, that's a plus. Like with PalMac again, you can click on the, I think it's the lower right hand corner of the arrow whenever you start a process, and it'll carry you to the actual command, the terminal basically, or you'll get a terminal view showing you what it's installing or uninstalling, whatever the case may be. But there is a ton of available software and a bunch of different languages too. So that shouldn't be a problem. Again, I'm not real sure why GhostBSD is way down below FreeBSD, but it is. And there must be a reason. There has to be. Because like I said, well, first of all, most people that use a computer, I'm speaking out of experience because up until 3 years ago, I messed with some hardware and I love to go through software and stuff like that, but I did not want to have to set up my operating system. I mean, I installed it. I installed Windows XP 100 times, probably 98, 95, all those. You know, Windows 7 even. I installed that probably 5 or 6 times. I never wanted to build it. If something didn't work, man, I gave up on it. And so I'm thinking that's the way most people are, and I guess we're through. Maybe we got a games category. Yeah, let's open it up. We're going to pick Klondike. It's going to do some stuff on its own. Anyway, it works. Very nice. See under audio. Now you can search for an item specifically. Let's do that. And there you got Audacity. And you can just go AUD. It gives you all of the things that start with AUD, like Audacious and the plugins. So apparently a really nice system. It's available to just tweak out. Change the desktop background. I'm going to take that, keep aligned off. I like to put them where I want them. Control issue, I reckon. Down here you have this, I'm going to call it a service bar. I never have found out what the real name of it is, but it's like an extra taskbar, but it only shows open applications along with your different workspaces down here to the lower right. This is going to conclude the video on GhostBSD. I'll tell you, I don't really understand, like I said, why GhostBSD or any of the BSDs really aren't more popular. I'm not a gamer, and that could be the biggest thing. The second thing I can come up with is people just do not want to learn something new. They just want to hit a button and turn it on, and when it comes on, it works. Anybody that's watching this video knows Linux is a learning curve, and Unix-like is a learning curve. So anything different than what they already know is a learning curve, and most people are not going to be willing to do that. They just want to, like I said, plug it in, push the power button, and start using it. And I did too up until 3 years ago. Now I'm fascinated with all these different systems and how they work. BSDs, I have just been engrossed in BSDs, just learning because it's so much different than anything that I encountered in Linux. Very, very few things are the same that I encountered in Linux. Anyway, that's enough about my story. This was GhostBSD. Seems to be a very good system. Everything seems to work. The upgrade took a minute there, but you know, it may have actually, no, I checked the kernel before I did the upgrade. It was based on FreeBSD 13 stable. So that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. Try GhostBSD. This was the Mate version. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you in another video.